know how you watch a video on YouTube and you're like, yeah, that looks pretty doable, and then the person that's doing the video just like breezes through it all and it's like really easy and there's no problems, and then half the time you find out later that they had lots of problems but they just didn't put it in the video. Yeah, well, this is not one of those videos. This car and doing this timing belt has been by far the most frustrating, annoying, demoralizing thing I've ever done. Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the timing belt on my Evo. One little belt is going to be a lot of work. We're also going to be installing a new crank angle sensor while we're there. And we're also going to be installing a revised block bracket, which is specifically for the Evo 9. This is a revised part. The original part that came in the car rubs on the timing belt. I believe this was a recall from Mitsubishi. I don't believe this car was ever done since it still makes that noise. So I've got the part, I'm gonna do it. This is gonna be a headache. It's right in there. I think we gotta take a few studs out of the one that's in there, but we'll work that out. So we'll do that as well. And I'm really quite excited. I wanted to do this job for a long time. I've sort of put it off, haven't gotten around to it. It's probably the most daunting thing I've ever done on a car. So I'm excited to get it done and put that notch on my belt, you know? We do also have a nice big box full of other parts that we'll be installing as well. Balance belts, new pulleys, idlers, water pump, and we've got some timing belt tools in there. So we've got everything. We're doing everything. Now I am going to be filming a lot of this video on the Osmo Action 5. I just picked this up. It's DJI Action 5 Pro. I'm transitioning from GoPro, I think, to these. Because the mics I use at DJI, they work a lot better with these. I can Bluetooth straight to this rather than having to use the media mod and the AUX cord with the GoPro. So I have a lot of problems with audio not lining up, particularly when doing like POV drives and stuff. Seems like a good little bit of kit, pretty expensive, but all action cameras are. You know, everything I'm sort of using now is DJI except for that camera, which is a Fujifilm X-S10. So I'm gonna film on this today. Hopefully it goes okay, but it's the first time really using it, so I'm pretty excited. Now, given that I'm no mechanic or expert, I will be referring to a video on how to do this by Supercar Mio. He did a pretty good comprehensive video of how to do the timing belt in the car, so I'll just be referring to that. I'll also be referring to a similar video by Uzumaki Garage, Andy. He did it on his Evo 6.5 Tommy Mac. So between the two of those videos, I think I watched them both now. I should be able to get through this by myself without too much trouble. Now, I do already have the car jacked up and I already have the wheel off. This is obviously going to be the main part we're working, so we need as much access here as we can possibly get. Now, the next step is going to be remove this cover. So there's a bunch of push clips, and we're also going to remove the fender liner just for as much access as we can in this area. That's a lot of clips for one damn fender liner, goddamn. All right, now we're starting to see where we're gonna be working. So that's the lower timing cover. So the timing belt's below there. So we got a lot of stuff to take off in this vicinity. Now the next thing we're gonna do is drain the coolant from the radiator. We need to do this because we're doing the water pump, which is obviously full of water coolant. So let's get that drained, I'll show you how. I'm gonna pop the lid, so it drains a bit easier. Look at this wide angle, goddamn. All right, coming underneath, we got our bucket ready to go. I like this bucket because it has a lid, so I can just drain it, put the lid on it, and then reuse it. So coming under here, where you've got your hot side intercooler pipe, there's a little hello there. So it's gonna come out of there. We're gonna turn that, and she's gonna come out. There we go. Don't take the plug out too far, otherwise it'll come out of there too. So we're just gonna let it drain out of the pipe. All right, while the coolant's gonna finish draining, we're gonna remove this 12 mil on this power steering hose, and we're gonna remove the 4 10 mils from the upper timing cover. The 2 short bolts go at the top, the 2 long ones go at the bottom. I always either like to put the bolts back where they come from if possible, or in a timing cover case, we'll take these and set them in it. Then they won't get lost. Now we do have our first look of the timing belt itself. Looks pretty good. No frays, no rubbing, nothing indicating any problems, but it'd be good to get it swapped out. Next, we're gonna be taking off these 2 12 mils for the power steering reservoir. Now we're up to removing the motor mount from this side, but before we do that, we're gonna chuck a jack underneath the engine with the block of wood on it, so we can lever it up and down and support the engine while this motor mounts out. Fortunately, by now our coolant has finished draining, so let's get that nice and green, delicious. Makes me want to drink it. Probably a bad idea. Cap that, put that to the side for later. Like so. Now we do have a 19mm nut on this side and a 17mm bolt head on that side. Oh, it's tight like a tiger. Need more leverage. Oh, that was tight. Wow, that's so tight. Who put that on there? It's probably me. Got him. See if he's just gonna wiggle out of there. Nope. So I lifted the engine up a little bit, but we're gonna give this the old don't argue. Try and get it out. Got him. Put that fella back on there. That had anti-seize on it, so that's always pretty helpful. Now we're going to take off these 3 14mm nuts that hold the mount to the engine itself. Need more oomph. Nice. Now we should be able to get this engine mount off and out. Nice. That's a solid bit of kit, that is. Next, we're going to loosen the 4 10mm on the water pump pulley, which are just down in there, if you can see them. There you go, that's better. I'm actually having a fair bit of success with the ratcheting 10mm with the angle on it. I've got all 3 of them except the top one. Just like these are so handy. A lot of the time, the head part's too big to get in places, but for this water pump pulley, this is making this really easy. Now let's crack the 4 12mm bolts on the crank pulley. This thing is not really cutting the mustard. All right, now let's remove the accessory belt. Now this is one part that I actually am familiar with. I've done the accessory belt on this car before and the tensioner, so let me show you how it works. That is the tensioner for the accessory belt. Now all we're gonna do is we're gonna put this 1/2" breaker bar into that slot up there, and that will allow us to release the tension. While we're doing that, we're gonna get this screwdriver or an Allen key or whatever and stick it through this little hole. Now it can go through the hole at the moment, but that's not doing anything. So you can see there's another hole at the back. So you wanna take the tension off the belt, line those holes up, stick your screw in, and you can remove the belt. Gotta go up top to get it off the alternator. So let's get it off the alternator, gonna pass it under, and we'll also get it off the power steering pump. Come here. Alright, that's the accessory belt done. And it literally is that easy to change the accessory belt. Now if you were just doing your accessory belt, feed your new one in, take the tensioner off, see you later. Now let's take the water pump pulley off, so let's get those 4 10mm out the rest of the way. Should mention that this spins freely now too, so we can mess around with it to get it out. So it's a little bit fiddly, but next up, let's remove this idler pulley, which is a 14mm. Damn, she's pretty tight. Let's give it a bit of the old don't argue. Let me get this one, and I'll get back to you. I ended up getting it cracked with the old the double leverage. Leverage is king, the old double spanner. And it is now moving. That was definitely challenging. You see, there's not enough room to get a socket up in there between that and the chassis rail, so it's got to be a spanner job, but glad we got that one. Now we are running into the issue of the bolt hits the chassis rail when we try to get it out. So let's drop the jack, we should drop the engine, and let's see if we can get that bolt out. Yep, nice. And that's the benefit of having the jack there. We can lift the engine up and down. Like obviously, like that was quite a long way we moved it just then, but there was plenty of room. Now let's get rid of the accessory belt tensioner. So we have a 12mm in there and we have a 14mm on the front. Yeah, this thing's sacked, bro. I'm just gonna leave that screwdriver in there and hope I don't need it later. Now let's get rid of the crank pulley. I already loosened these, so the little impact should handle this job. It's got a bit of weight to it, that does. Look at that solid chunk of metal. God damn. Now let's get this lower timing cover off. So there should be, I believe, 8 10 mils floating around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably some at the top we might have to get from up there. We'll see. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and they're different lengths. Should have paid more attention to that, shouldn't I think I see another one just down in right there. So I just jacked the motor up a little bit to help me get to that. We should be able to get a socket on it. Yep, she's coming out. No worries. I'm not sure whether this is the last one, because there is another one. There was one there, but that was part of the upper timing cover as well. So that one's already out. Is that it? Or is it just stuck around this? I think there's another one right there. I see him, let's get him. Okay, last one coming out. Now hopefully we can get this thing out. Nice, 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 nice. Let's put that one over here. And let's grab all of these. Now we're really getting into seeing what's going on below here. So there's the cam angle sensor that we're going to be replacing, which is obviously why we're doing this now, because it's quite a lot of work to get to this point. Timing belt, we've got our tensioner. I believe the block bracket that we're replacing is up in here. I haven't quite exactly worked out how that's gonna work, but that looks like a freaking headache, I'm not gonna lie. We've got a balance belt in here, and you can see we can start seeing our timing marks as well. Now we need to relocate the power steering pump, so we're gonna remove the heat shield first, which has 2 12 mils in it, I believe. There's one sort of on the side and one below that. There's a switch as well, which we're going to disconnect, and my front O2 sensor cable is cable tied in there, so I'm going to cut that as well and get that out of the way. Ow. I really wish they made all of these connections and switches the same type of connector, because I hate working out how to get rid of it. Although it does look like we can just pinch the back and it will pop out. Nice. It's like this connector is just one of the ones where you have a little black slot and you push a screwdriver in there. So let's try that. What do you squeeze it? What do you do with it? It's always like a bit of a challenge to push that down. I need another arm. I've been struggling with this connector for 5 minutes. Apparently you can use a pick. I'm not the only one that's had this issue, apparently. Let's see if this works. Okay, nice. That was literally so easy. This has 2 holes. Slide the pick in the front hole, this one, and then just lift up, and then that will just leave the plastic up enough to pull it out. Now we're gonna remove the power steering pump itself from the bracket that mounts it to the engine. So there's 1 12 mil, which I believe is that one there, and there's 3 14s, which I've worked out are the back, front, and the other one is a bit of a mystery, but there is one underneath. Right there, that thing. Oh my God, that's tight. I'm worried about smashing my knuckles into that thing. Oh, I smashed them. God damn it. These are tight, bro. Who did these up? Wasn't me, I'll tell you that. Let's try the old don't argue on it. No, we are just rounding it. God damn it. See if we can break a bar this bottom one. Not sure what I'm gonna do about the other 2 yet, because I can only get a spanner on them. Oh man, leverage is king, man. Like, I was trying to get that with the little one, wasn't happening. Like it's nothing with the breaker bar. Oh, this is a long bolt. Oh no, oh no. Problem. Can we jack the engine up a little bit? Is that gonna help? But hopefully that's enough to where we can move the power steering pump, but we do have to get these other 2. This one and this one, going to be a challenge. All right, so it turns out a socket will actually fit on this front one. Let's try to crack this. So much easier. But there's definitely, we're not gonna get a socket on the back one. So this one, see if it's gonna come all the way out without hitting something stupid. Okay, finally. That's a long thread. I'm gonna say 2.5 out of 4. What are we gonna do about this? I'm gonna go have lunch and I'm gonna think about it, and then we'll come back, have a little break, and we'll get it done. All right, we're back after lunch, and this is what I came up with. I can't get anything better in there. I can only really get it on the one angle. So yeah, I don't know. Let's try this. I don't know if it's turning. Is it turning or is it? I can't get anything else in there except for this. And I can only use this short side because this fat side, well, this skinny side, because this fat side fouls up against the bracket. So that's why it doesn't really get on properly. I think I may be taking the wrong bolt out, because I was having a look at the video, and that bolt right there is that bolt that I'm trying to get out. And yet, yeah, it's still in. So he's taken the pump off the bracket, not the bracket off the block. So I'm not sure if I even have to remove this one, but there's actually two, I think I've seen 14mm looking things down underneath, down in here. So I'm gonna try and pull those off and then see if the pump comes off the bracket and we can leave the bracket bolted up to the car, because that is really not happening. Did somebody say leverage? Leverage is king, my friends. Also, jack bars, very helpful. Most jacks have a part that come off. Let me tell you, it is very handy. So we got both of these 214s underneath with this. The first one I just got it on there and cracked it, nice and easy, didn't even need the breaker. Second one we needed the breaker just to crack it, and now we're in. Yeah, this is gonna work. I'm undoing the last one, the one closest to me underneath, and I can feel the whole pump moving. So don't take the bracket off because it's a nightmare. Take the pump off the bracket. I'm gonna try and unbolt the coolant reservoir, give me a little bit more room, hopefully. Probably should have thought of that earlier, because I can actually just take this out and we should have a lot more room to play with. Should have no problems getting it out. It's funny what happens when you actually think about things instead of forcing it. Oh, look how much room we got now. Funny that, isn't it? Okay. We're out. Nice. This thing's dirty. I'm gonna try and clean this thing up a little bit while it's out. But there you go. So this one, this bolt here on the side, we did not have to take out. So let's do that back up real quick. Okay, now we need to remove the bracket for the power steering pump. So we got a 14mm here, which is the one I was struggling to get off, but obviously now we can get a socket on there easy. We got another 14mm below that. And then down on this side, we've got one here and then one down there. So 4 14s. Might just tap this socket on a little bit because we made the thread a bit funny. Let's see if we can just sort it out a bit rather than threading it further. So what I'll do is I'll crack it, then I'll get the socket loose, and then I'll sort it out from there. Because it wasn't quite going on square, and that's when you really get into trouble. The old jack bar. Make sure you don't end up on an angle. Make sure, sometimes I like to try and hold the head of the socket. Oh boy, never mind. Oh my god, that is terrible. Look what I just noticed. Look at this. Is there meant to be a knot on that, bro? That's not great. They were really hard to do up, but to be honest, these nuts, the ones that have like the star pattern, not just like the 6-sided things, are pricks. Don't buy a set of these. Buy the ones your normal kind of head. Trust me. I gotta find a replacement for that. That's annoying. Okay, so it's like a shorter one in the side. Long ones at the front, shorter ones at the side. And it's sort of like indented, recessed into the bracket. So we definitely got to get a socket on there. I don't know if you can see that socket sticking out. Maybe drop it, drop the engine. So it's dropped down and it's not quite low enough to get the big one on there, but we can use this size, small size, the middle size. I don't know, 3/8 or whatever. I don't know. Can't we just use metric, man? So hopefully I can stick the pipe on there and we'll crack it that way. That's gonna get it. Probably would have been easier taking it out the top, but there we go. Power steering pump bracket is out. God damn, that was a bit of a pain. All right, now we're pretty much up to locking the motor at top dead center, and we're going to do that with this little tool here. So this little tool is going to sit between these, just in there. However, we do need to get TDC first, and you can see there's a timing mark there and there's a timing mark there, but we do not have the corresponding timing mark on the pulleys. So we need to rotate the engine. Now to do that, we are going to have to pull the coils and the spark plugs out, and then we're simply just going to chuck a socket on our crank and turn it until everything lines up. So let's get all that off. All right, so we should have 4 10mm for this cover. Now I am running aftermarket coils. This is a coil over plug kit by JD Motorsports. So let's get that out of here. Just getting stuck under this lip, so let's get this off. A couple 10mm. This is the cable that runs down to our O2 sensor, which is in our dump pipe. Just connect our O2 sensor, get that out of the way. And we got these back in there so I don't lose them. Now let's pop this fella out. One thing I always know, if you're ever going to gurney your engine bay and you have one of these, put your stock coils back in, because these don't actually seal over the spark plug holes like the stock ones do, and you'll get water in there. And then you'll have problems starting your car. So that's what I do if I'm ever going to gurney my engine bay, stock plugs back in. They seal up, don't need the shit out of it, good as gold. All right, let's pop our spark plugs out. They are down in there. These ones take a 16 mil. Let's not talk about that. All right, let's check these things out. 1. That doesn't look too bad. 2, a bit white. 3 and 4. Not too bad. Now we can rotate the engine without building compression, because you can't build compression if there's a big friggin' hole in the top of the cylinder. So now I'm gonna stick my socket right on the end of the crank, and then when I turn that, it should turn this. Yes, sir. So let's get those. Oh, still a little bit too far. So we're gonna be somewhere about there. So let's see if they line up. That one's over there, yep. That one's over there, yep. I'm gonna remark these with some white paint. Color this a little tooth in, beautiful. Now let's check our marks underneath. So you can see straight away on the oil pump that the mark is there, but it actually has to line up with that triangle just in there. This one is only ever lined up once in every 3 revolutions, I believe. Let's go to this one, the main crank. So there's a divot right there. That has to line up with that triangle. Well, it's not so much a triangle as a mark, but that's got to line up, so we're happy there. And the other one is the balance shaft. So we've got the triangle lining up with its mark there. So what we need to do is rotate the engine until this mark lines up with this triangle there, and then we can set the cams up the top and we're good to go. Now that's lined up, let's see what's going on at the top. Not lined up. Hey, hello there. Back this up a little bit and get it nice and spot on. All right, there. Now you can see that white mark is lined up with that little triangle just there. That's lined up, that's lined up. So now we can get this fella and lock him in. All right, so we got that in. We just had to give this a little bit of a wiggle just to get this properly lined up. So now that is locked in. That lines up, that lines up. Let's check all of this. Our oil pump lines up with its mark. You can see back there the blade is lined up with its little mark. And up there we have our balance belt mark lined up with its mark. Now it's time to remove the timing belt, finally. So the way we do that is probably come back to the top, and we have to take off the tensioner pulley, which is just that pulley that you can see there. So it's a 14 mil. Thinking it's going to be best to get from the top, get it down in here, something like that. It's tight, but we got it. Pulley's out. Now we should be able to remove the timing belt itself. This is crazy. Slightly stressed, but it's all good. See if we can do a bit of finagling. It comes off very easy. Oh, and that is her. It is off. All that work just for one belt. Condition wise, I don't know, it looks fine to me. Yeah, no, still excited to get a new one on. Let's crack the new one out and compare the pair. Make sure they're the same size. Well, they look about the same length to me. The new one feels a lot stiffer. This one feels like a lot, I guess, rubbery. I guess feels looser, which, you know, makes sense. There's the deets. You can still see the old deets and it is the same. 187, 466. All right, now we're gonna remove the auto tensioner and the arm. So we got 1, 2, 3, 12 mils to get. This is a bit of a challenging angle to film, so let me see if I can just hold it and get it one-handed. Oh, I am the Hulk. Yep, nice. I was thinking that these wouldn't be, or shouldn't be, too tight. Okay, nice. Now we have, well, not quite, but we're getting closer to our balance belt. Let's go to these over in the parts pile. Now we're gonna come back up to the top and try and get rid of this idler pulley, which is a 14 mil. And I think there's plenty of room just here to get it out. We even managed to get the big socket in there. Nice. Now we have the fun part of getting the crank bolt out, which is a 22 mil on the impact. This is a little bit stressful, but hopefully we can get it. Well, that's a problem. The impact ain't cutting the mustard. Now I guess we're in a bit of a predicament, being that the crank bolt didn't come out with the impact. I don't have a big impact, so that's not happening. what I'm thinking is when we put that back in, that bolt back in, we do have to torque that, and we do have to make a tool to do that. We're actually gonna get a bit of flat bar, cut a little thing out, and then it's gonna bolt into 2 of these holes. And it's gonna be a big metal bar that sits on top of the AC pump, and it's gonna mean that this sprocket will stay in place while we torque that. So what I'm thinking is potentially making that now and then just doing the reverse. So making it so it can sit underneath, and then I should be able to get a breaker bar on that and then break it. That's what I'm thinking. I've got to make the tool anyway, so I kind of might as well try that before we go to any more extreme measures. So this star picker's the only thing I think is really gonna work. It'll be great, but the idea is that will sit up on top of that pump there. I'll cut a groove out where those white marks are, and then we can bolt. I'll drill 2 holes in here, and that will line it with there. So first things first, I'm just gonna cut a groove in there. Make sure this is even long enough to get down over the bolt to where I can drill the holes. So I'm gonna cut that out real quick and then kind of go from there. I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna try it. Will that work? I don't know. I don't think it's wide enough, but let's check it out. Not quite, but it might work. Well, it's certainly not going to win any awards for being the prettiest, and I'm not even entirely sure it's going to work, but I am going to drill a hole in there and then see if I can get another one in there and just see what happens. I don't know. I might be wasting my time, but we're going to try. All right, this whole situation is not cutting it. I'm trying to shortcut and I shouldn't shortcut, so we're not going to. So I went back down to the shed, had another look, and I found this massive chunk of steel. Now, this is 100 mil, 5 mil thick, and obviously long as fuck. What I'm thinking we're gonna do is cut this down to about 250 mil, I think, maybe 300, that should be long enough. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some hole saws, cut 45 mil hole in this is what we need. And then that hole can go basically straight over all this, and then we can put 4 bolts in, and then up or down, doesn't matter, it'll work. You can just go straight on over the top, tightening, loosening, whatever, won't matter. Shouldn't be too much work. I don't have any hole saws, unfortunately. Had a look in the shed, couldn't find any, so I'm gonna have to go buy some hole saws. Been to Bunnings, we picked up a hole saw. Now this is a 44 mil, and I'm pretty sure the hole we need to cut is 44, 45 mil, so this might be marginal. Not really sure. But let's see how we go. Of course, I also got some cutting fluid, we're gonna need that. First things first, let's cut this big thing down to a more manageable size. I've measured about 300 mil. I think that should be enough. Considering we're gonna put this whole thing in it, I think 300 mil is about right. So first things first, let's get that cut down. This is gonna take ages. I'll just let you know when I'm done. You know what I mean? Let's take this back up to the car, just do a little test fit, make sure we're on the right track. All right, kind of looks like we're on the right track. So this will sit over the crank about there, sit on top. As for getting it off, well, it's gonna sit same spot underneath. All right, so that's where I figure it's gonna be. Drill that through there, gives us plenty of room around the thing to drill our holes to lock it onto the sprocket. All right, so this big old bit didn't fit in my tiny little Ryobi chuck, so we had to crack out this old girl. This thing is probably generally older than I am, and yeah, it's like kind of sketchy. In fact, I'm thinking about using there's another one. Hang on, let me get the other one. That's crazy work. All right, we got this one. It's a bit better. We're in, we're good. We got no damaged cords. So first things first, let's drill a pilot hole in this, then we'll chuck this fella on. We're through! Hell yeah, we are through. All right, that took a fair bit of patience and perseverance, but we got it done. It's been a long time since I've done anything like this. It took me a while to remember sort of what we're doing, such as clamping your damn vise down. It's a pretty nice looking hole. Let's go see if it actually fits over what we're trying to fit. Well, it fits. Problem is now, it's always a problem. I have this little thing sticking out, so we've got to drill a hole for that. So we've got to drill at least 3 holes. 2 to mount it, and then 1 so that goes through. So a bit annoying. So what I'm doing is just using a bit of cardboard as sort of the template. I need to work out where to drill the holes around there. This would probably be easier if I wasn't doing the whole thing around, because obviously up and down is going to be a different place for that bit that sticks out. Anyway, we're going to solder on. So I'm going to work out where the holes are, poke them through here, and then I can put this on there and then drill the holes. That's the idea. This is like this is annoying. I'm not enjoying this part because I feel like I'm making no progress. That's my first hole to get over this annoying little thing. Let's go drill it. So now my problem, another problem is that when I put the bar in here, which I'm gonna need to do to loosen that, the oil pump pulley sprocket thing is in the way. I marked that there, so I have to drill another hole here to get over this nut. Pretty annoying, to be honest. But I did check the other way and the other way is gonna work. So let's drill that one, and then we can work on our big ones. All right, so I ended up having to drill another hole with the hole saw because I didn't have a drill bit big enough to get over that nut, which is really annoying. Didn't really want to, but hey, it is what it is. Let's see if it works. All right, so it should do the trick. Kind of glad we drilled a big hole because, yeah. Anyway, it's under there. I think I was working off. Now we need to work out to drill our holes for the crank bolt so we can finally get this damn thing off. It's been hours. This is driving me bonkers. All right, I got my bit of cardboard again. I just used a little screw to like line it up and then poke it through the holes. And then now I've widened the holes. Got the texter, marked the dots. There and there. So let's draw those two and we will see if we can finally get this freaking thing off. It's killing me. Well, I definitely messed it up because I got the top one in and now I can't even get it over there. So I'm gonna make this hole bigger. This one's not even close. I don't know what the hell I did there, bro. Finally got it on. Tried drilling that hole there, slipped, didn't work. Elongated both of those. We got it on, it's up against the AC pump. Is this gonna work? I don't really know, I hope so. To be honest, I've done a pretty shit job of it, but if it works, I don't really care. I don't really know how to get a good angle on this thing. Well, I knew it was tight, but goddamn. Oh, it's gonna fit. Okay. Come on. Did it move? Oh, it moved. A tiny bit. I'm pushing up against my intercooler pipe. Oh, is there movement? Oh, it worked. I cannot even tell you how pumped I am. All right, that was genuinely a bit stressful, but we got it done. It took a long time. I did not expect to have to do that. Moral of the story, if you have a big impact, life will be a lot easier. But in saying that, I was gonna have to make the tool anyway, so kind of whatever. I'm gonna go get a coffee now. I feel like I gotta celebrate. It's like a 2 coffee kind of day. I'm gonna go do that, have lunch, and then yeah, I'll get that all off and then we can, it's gone on, finally. Tastes like success. Get the damn bolt out. Hopefully now my impact will finish the job. That was tight AF, bro. You gotta remember, flat side 2 engine. Now let's get rid of our crank angle sensor. So we have 2 10 mils. Of course we are replacing this, but let's just get it out of the way for the minute. It's tighter than I thought it was gonna be, not gonna lie. And there's our crank angle sensor. Pop him up out of there for the way, and now let's get this off. Frock it off, it's just a little bit stuck on here. Put 2 of the bolts in. Hopefully now I can just use these to wiggle it off. Yes, sir. There you go. That's crazy. Now, this has to go back on the way it is on there now. So I'm just gonna get a little paint and put a little F for front. I think it should be pretty obvious, to be honest, because if we pull this off and try to put it on backwards, it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't fit. There's actually a groove there. So probably not necessary, but hey, just for the sake of things. Now we can get our balance belt off. Now we're gonna see how much deflection is in this belt currently, so we can move it like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure between this bolt and this bolt on the water pump. If I measure between there, the distance from here to the deflected belt will tell me the deflection. I don't have a tension deflection tool, so I kind of got to be a little bit creative with it. From the top of the bolt, like so, I deflect the belt. So the top of the belt is sitting at, well, let's say 40 mil from the top. 40 mil is our deflection. So that's what we need to aim to set when we're putting the release pulley back on. So now that we know 40 mil, we can take this off. So that is a 12 mil. Whoa. Hold on there, little tripod. You're getting smacked around. Get this fella out of here. Bye. Double check our marks in the right place, which we're happy with. Now we can take our balance belt off. I know big builds generally delete this belt, I believe. Not really sure why. I'm not a big build, so I got a new one. Now let's move on to removing the water pump, which is up there. I think we're gonna get some bolts from the bottom, some bolts from the top. They look like 12 mils. This is gonna spill some stuff, so put a rag underneath it or something. Three, I believe there's 2 more. So there's one down in there, a bit of a challenge to see. Another one there, and then the other one is over on that side, and it's actually attached to the alternator. I don't know if you can see down in there, but it faces towards the interior of the car. Yeah, let's try and get that one too. Thought I was gonna have to crack the water pump, but I did not. It is now dripping. So we had a short bolt, the one into the alternator bracket, a long bolt from the top of the water pump. Let's see what the other water pump ones are, see if they're all the same length. Okay, no, so they're all slightly different, just to make it hard to remember how they go. So the really long one was at the top, the slightly shorter one was at the bottom left, just there. Just to keep it interesting, the one out of the bottom hole also happens to be a short one. So the one on the very right, closest to the front of the car, was even shorter again. Oh my god, it's going friggin' everywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of coolant in here. We are making a mess. Alright, so we got most of the fluid out. Let's see if we can actually pop this thing off now, eh? I think we got it now. I don't know what was holding it on. Whether it's a gasket or... Haha, I think it was just stuck. Yeah, we left half the gasket behind. Oh, it was stuck on here, on that O-ring. Oh, there you go. We got one part of the gasket on here, and the rest is still up there. Alright, so we got our water pump off. Now, the next step is put the new water pump on. However, I think it's now the opportune moment to do that new block bracket that we're doing, the revised block bracket. So up and underneath here on the right side, so this is actually the bracket here, up here. So there's quite a lot of bolts in there. They look like 14 mils, maybe even bigger. Again, some from the top, some from the bottom, I would say. Let's check the new one out, and then we can sort of compare sort of where the bolts go. So this is the new one, and it's really quite stupid because this actually comes with the idler pulley already installed, this one specifically. So I have a replacement one of those, but I don't actually need it because it comes on here. What is stupid though is there's meant to be 3 studs there. Let me show you. Those studs are the 3 studs here for our engine mount. So we're gonna have to take those out, which is really dumb. Mitsubishi, why would you include a pulley on the new block bracket, but not the studs? Is there logic in there? I can't think of any. It doesn't make sense to me. That's stupid. Looks like we got potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts to get out. Maybe just these 4. Let's hook into it and get it off. So these are indeed 14 mils, and there is 4 of them, I believe. 1, 2, 3 in a row, and then the 4th one over the top. I'm thinking we'll get these bottom 3 from the bottom. We'll probably get that other one from the bottom too, to be honest. Let's see how tight these are. Okay, not. I don't want to jinx myself, but in my brain, I thought this block bracket was going to be a lot more work. I know you can't really see, but we are getting the, trying to get the last of the bottom 3. Got him. One-handed. No worries, lad. So this has a shim at the back. Kind of like a shim holder thing. Very interesting. Now let's compare the pair and see whether this was ever actually done on this car or whether I just bought that for nothing and it's already done. New one, obviously with the pulley already mounted. So if you notice, it hasn't been done. This part here, see where that's like shaved to? Now look at it on that one. So I think what was happening is the timing belt was coming around and rubbing on here. Now there's no real obvious rub marks, I would say, on this, but this has definitely been shaved down more. We didn't waste it. This is also part of the auto tensioner. So it's weird that we have a new one of these, which is actually this part here. So like, why does this come with these 2 parts that arguably you wouldn't need, but not these? I don't get it. So now we're gonna have to double nut these and try and get these studs out and hopefully not break them, because that would be very bad. All right, so we got it loaded up in the vise. Now I am gonna spray it with a bunch of penetrant, hopefully just to loosen it up a bit. I don't know how tight these are. I gotta look up the torque specs still. Let's just work on getting them out first. I'm gonna do the old double nut method. If you're not familiar with that, turn a nut around, put it on. This is taking a fair while. Yeah, wind him on. Let's wind him down a bit more. I'll see you in 10 minutes when I finally get there. Now we're gonna put our nut on the top and then tighten them together. I actually just had a look at our torque specs for these studs. Can't find any. Can't find anything on them, so I'm just gonna see how tight they are and then try and put them back to that. Obviously it's not like a timing component or anything, so I'm not like that worried about it. I mean, it would have been better, but hey, you can't have everything. Nice. Now lefty would normally be loosey, but I think we're gonna do, that literally just came out. That was genuinely no effort at all. I'm really quite surprised by that. That's good. That's really good. It's harder to get these two, but all right. Well, let's hope the next two are that easy, because that was pretty phenomenal. This still winds out the normal way. I thought it was the opposite way, but no, it's the normal way. Lefty loosey on my ratchet, unless you have a backwards one. One thing I like about ratchets is when lefty is loosey. My other one, I have a Daytona one, and it's righty loosey, and it drives me bloody bonkers. And number two, this one might be a little bit tighter. Sometimes I like to give these like a bit of a knock on the head, just in case like there's a bit of rust in there and it's like kind of formed a lock on it. Sometimes it can help just break that little seal. There we go. We got it. All right, last one. Let's see how tight this one is. Okay, not. Okay, so we have one that was tight and two that were pretty loose. All right, 3 studs out, 3 studs, 3 nuts. Let's sack this bracket and install them on this one. Let's just tidy up the threads a little bit, make sure there's no crap in there. Gonna put a little bit of anti-seize on them, just a little dab there, and let's wind them in. Kind of like much the same process now, except instead of loosening, we'll be tightening. I did actually take the end stud out because I could only get like a tiny little turn with this, so now we can get nearly a full turn in, makes things a little bit quicker. Let's tighten him up. All right, so we have our 3 studs on our revised cylinder block bracket. Let's thread these on so we don't lose them, because they're going to be one of the last things that we do up. Now we can put this thing on the car. While we've got quite a lot of room down there, I'm going to go ahead and clean up this gasket surface. Obviously we have to get the old gasket off, so let's sort that out right now. Peel the gasket off, to be honest. So I'm thinking now is as good a time as any to install our new crank angle sensor. So it's actually attached to this shim plate thing that goes behind that bracket that we're about to reinstall. So the little part that fell off, just like a little rubber strip that runs along the edge of this metal plate to stop the crank angle sensor cable from rubbing on it. It's not a big deal, it comes off quite easy. So there we go, so we now have this plate off, so we might give that a little bit of a clean up. And let's keep pulling this crank angle sensor out. Unfortunately, we won't be able to replace that. I don't have one of these, so we'll work out what we're gonna do there. Now the crank angle sensor itself runs up through here, over, and then into the bottom. Actually, I believe the bottom of this, I believe that's the other end to it, just down there. So let's work out how to get that out. Now you can see that bracket down there is what this actually slides down on. I actually broke it. You meant to put a screwdriver down there and pop it out. Mine was brittle, so it broke. There's also a bolt underneath. It's a big bolt, part of the intake manifold. So I think it would be easier just to break that off. Now we can pretty much thread it down through there if it fits. If not, I'll have to take off my my heat shield there. And that is our crank angle sensor removed from the car, and it can go in the spare box. Not that I think I'll ever use it. We got the new one cracked open. Fortunately, it does come with this little cable tie clip. That's really nice. There's the part number if you're interested. So let's get this fed down and in. Come on, get in your little home. We're gonna get him down there like so, till he clips in, and then I'll probably just run that over. Now there is another little one of these foldy clips mounts just here, so we'll fold that back on, and then I'll probably just leave it like that for the minute. All right, so probably the most important part of reinstalling this is that this middle bolt is actually a wet bolt. This taps an oil galley, so we do need to apply some sealant to it. So we're just going to be using what we're using for the water pump. You can see on the bolt that came out, it does have some stuff on there, so whoever did it last did good. You see these oil bolts, clean, not clean, and you can see that there's been some oil on the end of it. That's that middle one. You can see the 3 holes down there. 1, 2, 3. It's that middle one there. Gonna give this thing a bit of a clean up with some brake cleaner. All right, not perfect, but definitely better. Get all this stuff back on. It sits there like that. This little piece will go on like so, and I guess that's probably where the cable runs through. So first things first, we need to reinstall our shim thingy. If you just want to confirm which one of these bolts is the wet bolt, it's pretty simple. See the middle bolt there, that one. You can see there's actually oil in there. None of the other bolts have that. So we can definitely confirm that the middle bolt is the one that we need to seal up. I'm not really sure what the best angle is to get this bracket on, but I'm gonna try from the bottom. We'll see if we can get this shim plate thing mounted. So I'm gonna try and install the bracket with the pulley and the idler arm on it, or the tensioner arm on it, sorry. Just to see, if I have to take them off I will, but if I don't, it'll be better. This is not really going that well. I think I'm gonna take this pulley and this idler arm off because it's really not really playing. Alright, we got all the extra bits off. Let's place this shim thing first. Oh, you fuck it. You. Yes. Lay directly underneath it. You see my head down here? Alright, so we have the top and the bottom in on that 3. Now I can't quite exactly work out a torque spec for these bolts, so I'm probably mostly going to go off feel. I figure since I can't find one. There is this engine support bracket bolt, which is 49 plus minus 5, probably Newton meters, I guess. We'll do a Newton meter first? Yeah. So I'll probably aim for about 50 Newton meters. I'm not sure if that's exactly the part, but it is an engine support bracket. I feel like I might be talking about these bolts. But yeah, let's just get it on there. All right, now last bolt, let's get it cleaned up with a little wire brush. That's a brake cleaner. Then let's get some water pump and thermostat housing gasket maker on there, and let's get him threaded in. And I'm gonna need a longer socket, I think, because this thing, why are these always so damn long? Nice. Yep, nice. All right, that is the revised block bracket now installed. Now we can carry on with our normal timing belt job. Next stage, water pump. All right, we've got our old water pump. We've got our new water pump. You tell the difference, but I mean, your one looks fine, really. Now, let's get some of this water pump sealant around here, and then we can stick our gasket on. We have a gasket and we have a new O-ring for the water neck, so we'll swap that out in a minute, but let's get this thing on first. Nice, let's get it on the car. Let's swap this first. We are gonna use a little bit of grease. I just got some wheel bearing grease. That will do. You see we got the old washer up here. Use a little pick. Just to pop him off. Got him on there like that. Right, let's see if we can stick this on this filler neck up here, and hopefully that'll hold it in place while the bolts. How does he sit in there? Let's see if I can get one of these bottom bolts just to hold him in place. I might go up the top and just make sure that that filler neck's pushed on as good as I can get. Might even try and chuck one of those top bolts in. Feels like he's on there now. I'm gonna get the rest of the bolts in. There's one part I'm a little bit nervous about, because if this leaks, it's gonna be a lot of work to get back to this point. So I'm gonna make sure we got this spot on. I did forget that I wanted to add a little bit of anti-seize on these bolts. So I've just pulled those 2 out that I put in. I'm gonna put a bit of anti-seize on them. Chuck them back in. See if we can get the alternator bracket bolt back into the water pump. It's hard to see down there, but 2 to go. 1, 2. Let's try this one. Bang. Give him a bit of a clean up. A bit of anti-seize on him. Where the bloody hell does he go again? There, right under the neck looking thing. You can see down in there. I reckon he's going to be easier to do up from the bottom. I reckon I'm probably right. Probably do this one from the bottom. And obviously the other one from the bottom too. Alright, these water pump bolts go up to 14 Newton meters. Let's see if we can get the medium torque wrench in there. The small one would be a lot better, but I don't have a 12 mil with that drive on it. That's really unfortunate. Let's see how we go. I'm gonna treat this like a wheel. I'm trying to do the bottom then the top, bit of a star so it goes on sort of evenly. All these ones are torqued. Now we're gonna do the alternator bracket and the top one. Nice. Okay, now that our water pump is on and torqued down and good to go, we're going to do the balance belt. So I'm going to check these are both still on their marks, which they are, and then let's get the balance belt on. All right, so we got our new balance belt. There's your part number, and we have our new tensioner. There's the part number. It doesn't come with the bolt, so let's get this bolt out and stick it in there. Now I'm going to try and install the belt flat along the top. So let's get that one in, around. Very nice. Moves quite easy. Okay, check if the marks still line up. That one still lines up. This one still lines up. Now let's get our tensioner on. We're going to install it with the lip facing out so it keeps the belt on without slipping off. And we're going to install it sort of with this orientation, being that the bolt is to the bottom right hand side. Now we're going to kind of twist it clockwise and tighten it to 19 Newton meters. We do need to make sure that this isn't too tight. So if you recall, we did measure our belt deflection. So we measured it between this bolt and this bolt, and I wrote it down 40 mil from top bolt, 40 mil top bolt from top of the bolt. So when we deflect this, it should be 40 mil from the top of this bolt to the top of the belt. Now I feel like it's a little bit tighter than what it was, so let's see. We're about 40 mil. I'd say it's about 38 mil there. I know it's very hard for you to see, but you can trust me. It's about 38 mil. I'm thinking that's close enough. It's in there, all good. That timing mark's still lining up. That lines up, this lines up. That's all we have to worry about for that one. It's on, it's in. That's the balance belt done. Now it's time to get our crank blade and sprocket and bolt back on. They're a bit gross, so let's just clean them up real quick. Try and make sure we keep our front mark there, even though it will be pretty obvious which way it goes. All right, let's reinstall our sensor blade. We've got our front mark. This lines up with that and the mark. It also has this cutout, so it's kind of hard to not get this right. That goes on there like so. Next, we're gonna put our sprocket on, our crank sprocket, which has the same cutout, which will go on this side. Just use a touch of oil to get this on. It's like a little bit stuck. Let's see if we can slide him on there. Nice. He goes on there. Flat sides to the engine. Obviously, this bar has to stick out. It's pretty obvious. We got our washer, which will sit in there. Flat side the engine. It's not going to stay, of course. Let's get our bolt and just oil him up around the top, like so. Now we need to tighten this up to 167 Newton meters, which is pretty tight. I'm gonna try and get this bracket back in place. And instead of putting it on top of the AC compressor, which will require me modifying the bracket a bit, I'm gonna try and put something underneath and wedge this in place. I don't know, another bit of steel or something. Wedge it between there and the ground, and then hopefully we can get it. Let's see if this star picket comes in handy after all. Yep, it's all still in place. I'll work out the best way to get the angle on this thing. Nice, very pleased about that. Now let's get our new auto tensioner installed. There's your part number. Now the bolts in here are gonna go to 23 Newton meters. 24 Newton meters on these, my bad. But you know, same. All right, now let's get our new crank sensor situated and installed. So it's got a tuck line here. That's all good, all good, all good. It goes through this little bracket, this little thing here. Now it's gonna go down through these plastic bits. These come off really easy, so I might just put a little bit of glue or something on there just to keep them on there. But I believe it's gonna feed down through there. And it's gotta go through that hole with this clip on the other side. But I think I'll get that from the bottom. But I might plug it in first. Now these get torqued to 8.8 Newton meters, which is obviously not very bloody much. Let's run him up where he's meant to go. So he's got to go through that little holder thing there. Looks like this plastic clip is exactly where it's meant to go. Push him in. Beautiful. Now let's get our idler pulley installed onto our block bracket that we just took off. This one's going to go to 35 Newton meters. So it goes not in the bottom hole of the bracket, it goes in the middle one, which coincides with the lower bolt that's already bolted in. Install from the top, I'm an idiot. It's so much easier from up here. Now we're going to reinstall our tensioner arm. First things first, let's put a bit of grease around the thing where it gets mounted. Alright, this one's going to get torqued to 21 Newton meters. Sit on there like that. Get this fellow wound in. Oh, this ratchet sucks, man. Don't buy a Daytona ratchet because it's arse. slide's all good. If that didn't, well, rotate's all good. If that didn't rotate, probably too tight, brother. All right, now we're gonna install this pulley. So these 2 dots are gonna be angled to the bottom left. When we chuck it up in there, it's gonna go kind of like that. There's the part number for that one. So that's gonna get mounted in the arm, so the raised lip goes to the back. This isn't working. Maybe it will be better from the top. Yep, definitely easier to get from the top. Now we're not gonna torque this one up yet. We're gonna leave it for later. We do need a special tool, which I don't have, so I don't know, but we'll work it out when we get to it. Now, because we're pretty much up to installing the timing belt, we need to just double check everything's still in time. This front oil pump sprocket is pretty much the only thing that we haven't really messed around with. Now, it's still in line with its mark, which you can see right there. The interesting thing about this one is when you move it, it should gravitate back towards that mark. Yeah, it moves back to the mark. Now, what will happen if we go a full revolution out, this won't turn back to that mark, it will turn away. So I know because it's turning, it's moving towards that mark, we're good to go. Let's leave that on there. That one lines up in there, that one lines up there. Obviously, these ones line up because we haven't touched it. Let's get our damn timing belt on. Now I've just got the belt loosely situated. It's just sort of chilling at the top here, but we're gonna start at the bottom. So we're gonna start with getting it around the crank sprocket first, and then we're gonna go around the oil pump, and then we're gonna go up through the idler, and then worry about the top up there. Probably gonna take a bit of doing, but we will get it. You look at the diagram when we need to make sure we're getting it right, but it goes to the right side of that one. That will go around to there, and then this needs to get, oh, not moving too much. Let's work our way to the top. I have a problem, and it's very interesting. Here's my theory. What do you notice about this timing mark? It doesn't line up with its mark. Neither does that one. So interestingly, I got the belt on, but it was like half a tooth out. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then I realized that my marks don't line up anymore, even though it's locked in place. Apparently, when you take your timing belt off, the cams can move because there's no pressure on it anymore, even though they're locked together. I can't actually get this out. So this slid in pretty well. I can't move that. So I think because I took the timing belt off over the weekend, like 5 days ago now. And even though it's been locked in place, I thought it would be good, it's not. Now I believe those gears turn opposite directions, so it makes sense that they've sort of both turned in a little bit. This one needs to go a little bit to the left, this one needs to go a little bit to the right. That's interesting. Was not aware of that. I gotta work out what to do. I guess I'm gonna have to try and rotate them just a little bit. Like they're still in the right place. I just need to move them out a little bit somehow. Not sure how yet. That's crazy. So I couldn't move these by hand. But what I can do, 17 mil on the end of the cam with the breaker bar. See how they shift? So if I push down on this one and align this towards this timing mark, like so, this one will also head towards its timing mark. What a headache. That was kind of stressful, I'm not gonna lie, because I don't really know what the go was. Not sure if it's just because it was settling over a week or because the car's in gear. I wouldn't think so because there's no timing belt on the car. So what I'm gonna have to do is get the timing belt pretty much run till I'm pretty good to go, and then just give that a little wiggle and then align it up with its teeth. So let's get the belt back through here. Did that just come off down the bottom? I don't know. Oh my God, this is annoying. All right, now we've got it on. So if I pull this tight to where the marks line up, our belt's in on its teeth, belt's on its teeth, in line. Let's check down here. That one's right. That one's right up in there. That one looks good. Okay, we are in time. That was a little bit stressful, but we got it worked out. Good to know. Do it straight away. If not, you'll have to adjust your cam a little bit. Now we're gonna tension it. Now what we're gonna do is tension the belt. So this grenade pin in here is stuck, does not move freely. So what we need to do is thread this tool into the block until this moves freely. It's up there. All right, let's pop this little cap out just here, like so. Oh. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and get underneath and then work out how far I need to screw it. Oh, there we go. All right, now that our tensioner pin is nice and in and out, whatever, nice and loose, now we need to tension this pulley. So we're gonna use a special tool to rotate the pulley, and then we're gonna torque that bolt down. So the setup is this. The 3/8 inch drive torque wrench set to 48 Newton meters with a 14 mil on it. And then we've got the 1/4 inch, I think it is, set to 3.5 Newton meters with the special tool on it. It takes an 8 mil socket. So we're going to tension the pulley to 3.5 Newton meters and then lock the bolt down at 48. That's the idea. All right, let's see if we can get this thing to 3.5 Newton meters. It's not working because my belts are ending up out of time. I think we've got it wrong somehow. So since these all moved off their marks when we were trying to tension the belt, it's clear that the belt's not on correctly. So let's pull it off and try again. All right, we try it again. Let's see how we go. Fortunately, it's turning all our things again, which means once again, it's not correct. Okay, try again. Well, that definitely moved. I'm really struggling with this, to be honest. Every time I friggin' try to tension the damn thing, this and this end up way off. And I haven't quite worked out why yet. Alright, let it off, try it again. Alright, so I can't quite get both torque wrenches on at the same time with this, so I'm gonna try and put that torque wrench on the 14 and use a little 8 mil spanner to get this on. This is logistically a challenge. So I'm gonna pull it in line with this tensioner, and then I'm gonna tighten this 14 mil to 48 Newton meters. Okay, got it. Everything's dropping. Now let's check our timing marks are correct. Please, for the love of God, let them be correct. Happy days there. Happy days there. Happy days up there. That's in line. And that's in line. I end up having to tie this down to hold the cams in place, to hold the slack, which was annoying. That took probably about 15 goes. No, probably more, to be honest. That probably took me like 3 hours. I was ready to give up. I'm not gonna lie. That sucked. We got it. What kept happening, and I'll show you what I did, so if it's happening to you, you don't have to. Every time I tried to tension the belt, this pulley would turn that way, would end up off. And the reason why is I ended up having to pull it quite tight on both sides. And I ended up counting the teeth between these two, because I had these at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you should have 8 teeth sort of between these two. So once I worked out that was right, and then I kept as much tension as I could on this side, because this was the issue, and now it's good to go. All right, that sucked. Let's carry on. Now for all happy days, we should be able to remove our grenade pin, which we can. Very nice. Now let's get this thing out as well. I do recommend putting a bit of oil on this thread when you thread it in. I had to thread mine quite a long way to get it down on there, and it was a bit stuck. I pulled it out and put it back in while I was messing around with actually trying to get this damn thing right. So put a little bit of oil on this thread and it will really help. Now I should be able to release this and take my cam lock out. Cool, didn't really do anything, which exactly like it shouldn't have. There we go. That was stressful, not gonna lie. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate the crank 2 turns. So we need to let this sit for 15 minutes now, and then we need to make sure our pin will still go in here freely. So I'm gonna make a coffee or something. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. Let's see if our tension is fine. Please be okay, because I don't know what to do if you're not. Oh, we're in. Yep, thought for a second they were in trouble, but no, you just gotta line it up. You can see on this one that you can poke pretty much the pin either side. So you might stress out for a second, but you just gotta get it lined up. And we are good. Our tension is set correctly. Happy days. Put our little plug back in our little tool hole thing. Nice. Now, I think we can get our power steering pump bracket back on. So this fella is going to sit down in there, just around that pulley. And we're going to torque the 4 14 volts to 48 Newton meters. Just going to make sure our crank angle sensor cable is running in the right place and that these plastic shields are on correctly. I should probably be cleaning all these parts as they go back on. To be honest, I'm just kind of over it. I'm going to apply a bit of anti-seize to all of these. Hopefully Future Jackson appreciates that. We'll have to get this one from the bottom. To be fair, it's gonna be a long time before I'm doing this again. So the 2 short bolts go on the side, and then the 2 long bolts go in the front. And the gold bolts are for the bracket, and then the black looking bolts are for the pump itself. Hell yeah, we can. Alright, let's get our power steering pump back on. We have 3 14 mils and this 12 mil, I believe, just here. Not like that, I don't think. I think it goes like this. Obviously, the pulley has to be on the side with the other pulleys. Makes sense. We got there. Let's get that 12 mil in. Just to hold the damn thing in place. Actually, I didn't put any thread stuff on it. Let's get one of these 14 mils in and make sure we connect them up. Alright, so this 12 mil on the top is going to go to 22 Newton meters. Alright, then the 14s, 1 on this side and then the 2 underneath, going to go to 41 Newton meters. Nice. These 2 12 mils for the power steering reservoir are going to go to 12 Newton meters, or as I like to call it, fuck all. Shouldn't be using a torque wrench, but whatever. And that is like not much, eh? Alright, let's put our coolant reservoir back on. Torque specs on these, no idea. 10 mils, I think I'll nip them up. Will do just fine. Put that fella back in. Alright, let's get this power steering pump heat shield back on. These 2 12 mils are going to go to 22 Newton meters. Down in there. Orientation is like that. We have our little connector plugged back in and relocated where it goes. Cable tie that one on later once we sort that out. Now it is time for the lower timing cover to go back on. One with the washer goes in that one, the long one goes in that one, and then the rest go in all the other little ones. Getting stuck on something up the top. Nope. And now my phone's ringing. I'm busy! Alright, torque spec wise, the one with the washer goes to 9 Newton meters and the rest go to 11, which, yeah, it's not a lot. You know how you watch a video on YouTube and you're like, yeah, that looks pretty doable. And then the person that's doing the video just like breezes through it all and it's like really easy and there's no problems. And then half the time you find out later that they had lots of problems, but they just didn't put it in the video. Yeah, well, this is not one of those videos. This car and doing this timing belt has been by far the most frustrating, annoying, demoralizing thing I've ever done, by far. It was like, I haven't worked on this for like a week and a half probably. I haven't been here, I haven't looked at it, I haven't even wanted to know about it. That's how frustrated I've been trying to get this friggin' car done. So, why? I got the belt on and tensioned, and then obviously just then you've seen we've put the power steering pump back on, put the lower timing cover back on, and then I realized that the top of the belt, the deflection on it seemed quite a lot loose. It seemed loose, it didn't seem tensioned enough. So while the auto tensioner said it was fine and the pins slid in and out like happy days, it was not really happy days. Actually, when I looked at my brother's car, I pulled the upper timing cover off his car, looked at the deflection on his belt, which as you can see is a lot less than the deflection that I had. Trying to torque the tensioner pulley is impossible because you can't get 2 torque wrenches in there at the same time. So you kind of just have to kind of wing it, I feel, which is like kind of not ideal. Theoretically speaking, if the tensioner pin still slides in, you should be happy days. That was not the case for me. Now I want to bring up another issue why I'm really frustrated about this. So I actually got sent the wrong tensioner, which I'm not happy about. I should have checked it and I didn't, but I sort of realized I actually put the car back in time and I tried retensioning this about 100 times. Probably not quite 100, but probably like at least 20 times I've tried retensioning this. I tried with the new tensioner, I tried with the old tensioner, ended up bending the pin, the timing belt tool like ended up bending. Like it's been like pretty much a disaster. That was the point where I quit for like a week and a half. But let me show you something. This is the timing belt tensioner I was sent. I ordered a timing belt kit for an Evo 9. This is an Evo 7 backwards tensioner. They upgraded this. So new material, different size, let me show you. In this little box here is the correct tensioner, which matches the one that was on the car. Now I thought about putting the tensioner that was on the car back on the car, and it's like, what's the point of that? I'm redoing the timing belt, I'm putting new parts on. Why would I put the old parts back on? That's just stupid. This is a brand new tensioner. Look at the difference. Different material, this one is far heavier. The pins in the top are far different. The new one is a lot thicker. Now, why the fuck would I put an Evo 7 backwards tensioner on an Evo 9? Now, you can use these on the older model cars. It's an upgraded version. So theoretically speaking, this should be fine. But why the fuck would I do that? It doesn't make sense. So, if you have an Evo 8-9, which this tensioner is for, that is the correct part number. Right there. MR984375. Now, the one that I got, the old tensioner, is MD 308086 right there. So I'm fucking pretty annoyed about that, to be honest. Now I'm not going to say that that's the root of my problem, but I feel like it probably didn't help. Now I also have a new timing belt tool. Where's the old one? Now this is the old timing belt tool. This is an Extreme PSI one. This is the one I got originally. It's bent. Now I'm not sure that it came bent or I bent it. If I did bend it, holy shit, like that's pretty fucked up. I have a new one from Torque Solutions. Now this one looks pretty similar, I'm not gonna lie. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of difference in it. Looks the same difference, the same depth. The tip is a little bit different, but I'm gonna try this one because this one's bent now, and yeah, I don't know. I don't want to strip that gets screwed into the block bracket that we installed, and I don't want to have to go and buy a new one of those because I stripped the threads in it because I was screwing it too damn hard. So it's been an absolute shit fight. I hate this car at the moment. It has not gone to plan. But this is where we're at. We have a new tensioner, which is the correct one. We have a new timing belt tool. This is a waste of money. This is like $230-ish, $220 I think. So, you know, that's an argument to have. So what I need to do now is basically pull the belt off, pull the tensioner that's on it off, which is the original one that was on the car. I need to just reset up to the point of where I'm installing this. I'm installing the arms and I'm doing this, and let's see if we can get this damn thing right. This sucks, in all honesty. I kind of regret doing it, but you know, that was the decision I made. So now we just got to get it done. It is what it is. I checked all the other part numbers. All the other parts I have are fine. The belt itself is different. The Evo 9 runs a Kevlar belt. The older versions don't, I believe. I do have the right one for that. So it's kind of just this that made life difficult. I was at the point where, like, you know, because when this decompresses, you can see that doesn't line up anymore. The holes to put the spring in. So I was putting this in a vise, pushing this tensioner thing back in to put the pin through to try and install it again. And like, I don't know whether you can do that. Like, timing is kind of important. I don't want my auto tension to fail because I fucked around with it like 100 times, and then, you know, I'm gonna end up bending valves and shit. That's why I was like, you know what, I'll just order the correct one. I've got the right one now. So we got to step back. So I'm not gonna film stepping it back, but I am gonna step it back to the part, like I said, where I'm installing this. If you're not like super mechanically competent, just pay someone to do this, man. I kind of nearly wish I did. I'll be pleased when I get it done, but like I'm not enjoying myself. This sucks, in all honesty. Alright, so this is where we're up to. Basically, we got the auto tensioner off, we got the tensioner pulley off, and we got the tensioner arm off. Belt's kind of hanging because I don't really want to try and rethread it through everything. So now that we've kind of reset back to this, now I'm going to get the new tensioner installed in here, and then the arm, and then so on and so forth. And then let's see if we can actually tension this thing correctly and it works. I just fingers crossed it works first time, because I'm not going to know what to do if it doesn't work first time. This is probably like the 15th time I've installed this tensioner. Not the specific one because it's a new one, but you get the point. Shambles. Alright, I now have the new auto tensioner on, torque down. I have the arm on and torque down. I have this tensioner pulley on and up to finger tight in the right orientation. Now we are up to putting the timing belt back on again. This sucked the first time. I probably have a better idea of how to do it this time. Pretty much make sure there's 8 teeth visible between these two, and then work up. So shouldn't be too long. Alright, so we got the belt on. Pretty sure it is in time. Pretty sure we'll know as soon as we start tensioning. Now we're up to threading this in. I feel like I have PTSD from last time, but yeah, we got to thread this in. Loosen up that grenade pin. It's not going well. I'm having the same problem as before. Let me show you. So in the videos, it's like you don't have to thread this in very much. Okay, I'm threaded in quite a way. Now the pin's out. I kind of half pulled it out. I was kind of like wiggling it and it popped out, but it wasn't loose enough yet, and I was like, fuck, not good. Now, let me see if you can see the problem. Do you see the problem? Why the fuck is it all the way up there when that fucking thing is meant to be holding it down? Like, did I install the block bracket wrong? So now I feel like I'm in the same situation before where I have to pull the fucking tensioner off, go and put the fucking thing in the vise, which, like, to be honest, is totally fine. It's not a big deal. And then put this back through it. But why is my timing belt tool threading in so far and not holding it? Riddle me that. All right, so I kind of got it, but I kind of don't. And this is where I was up to the original time. Let me show you. So timing marks, perfect. Underneath, oil pump, happy days. That's in time. Now, it's tensioned. The belt is tensioned. The belt is even tensioned so that this grenade pin slides in and out exactly as it meant to. And now theoretically, this should mean that this belt is tensioned perfectly. Let me show you the problem. And this is what I was having originally. If I go to the top of the belt, I feel like this is too loose. I feel like it's too much, it's not tight enough. So why is that all telling me it's tight enough? And I don't feel like it is. Look at that. That feels like too much to me. So what do? Because I don't know. I got to back off the pulley bolt a bit, tighten it up a little bit more. I don't know. Let's just play around with it. I'm not having fun. This sucks. Someone has sent help. I think I got it. I just sort of messed around with tightening and loosening this a little bit to the point where this pin would slide freely, which it does. It's free, it's happy, we're cool. Up top, this to me still seems a little loose, but if I go any tighter on there, pin doesn't slide out. So I'm thinking this is where it's meant to be. It's not super loose, a little bit. I don't know if this will tighten when it goes around. We're gonna find out. So now I can remove the pin, I can remove the tool, then we got to spin it around a couple times, leave it, see what happens. I really hope this works. I just double checked my timing marks. We are still all in time and all happy days. We've got our pin, our tool, and our cam lock out. Let's turn this thing 2 revolutions. My mark's there. We'll go around 2 revolutions. That should be pointing down this way. Now let's leave it for 15, 20 minutes and then see if this pin will slide back in the tensioner. If it does, I'm gonna be the most excited I've ever been in my entire life. And if it does not, I might cry. It's been, instant coffee tastes like shit. It's been like 18 minutes. Let's see if we can get this pin in. It's the most nervous I've ever been about anything ever. Oh, please just friggin' work for me this time. Please, 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 please. Oh my God. That, I cannot even put into words physically how happy I am that this works. All right, we're on now, let's go. Check that. I don't know, still feels loose to me, but I don't think it's too loose. It is an auto tensioner, so hopefully it auto tensions a little touch when it runs. Last time I got up to this point, didn't quite work as well, so now we're happy, I guess. Put it all back together, lower timing cover, put that back on. Interestingly, I do still have the power steering pump on the car, so you can actually do all of the installing the belt, installing everything with that on. It's pretty much, you just need to get that pulley on. Once you got that pulley on, you can install all this back and then you don't even need to touch it again. You know what's really annoying? I'm nearly finished installing the timing cover. Let me show you something. Why is this so fucking loose now? It wasn't that loose before I started doing this. Is it gonna retension when I start it? This is where I got up to last time. This is when I backpedaled because of how loose it was. And it wasn't like this before I started doing the timing cover up. Now look how freaking loose it is. Research time. This sucks, man, this sucks. So our pin does not go in. That's it. It does not go in, which means our tension is wrong. So, I don't know if you can see in there. Probably not, it's close, but it doesn't quite line up. I'm thinking maybe I need to wait more than 15 minutes, like maybe wait like half an hour. Now I'm gonna rotate it till it's back to TDC, lock it in place again, and then tighten it up to where the pin can slide through, I think. All right, the plot thickens even more because I put it back to TDC. So I rotated it another 4 revolutions, 6 revolutions in total until everything lines up, and my pin goes straight in without any issues. So my question that I need to answer now, does this only go in when it's close to TDC? I was under the impression that it should go in on any revolution. That's interesting, like that goes in with no effort. The top, still I would say too loose. Alright, it is the next day. I did a bunch of research last night and I've learned one major thing, and also I talked to Andy from Uzumaki Garage. He was a lot of help. He knows what he's talking about. He also sent me the manual, which probably would have made sense to have in the first place, but shout out to Andy for helping me out. I really appreciate it, brother. Let me show you something. At TDC, this actually can be a bit loose. And if we turn it, it should tighten up theoretically. And then as long as the pin, this pin, still slides into our hole. We should be good, which it does. Sweet. So let's turn this a bit and let's see if that belt at the top tightens up. The other thing to do is to always make sure we turn this clockwise. Now theoretically, look at that. That is so much tighter. So when I went and compared my brother's car, obviously when he turned his engine off, it wouldn't have been a TDC. Very unlikely, hence why it's tighter. Because you do the timing belt at TDC, it's loose at the top. As soon as it turns, it tensions up. Now, theoretically, I'm saying a lot of theoretically, this pin should always be able to slide in here, which it certainly does. So, my conclusion is that my belt is tensioned correctly, and it probably was the first time I put it on. It's just, I checked the top of this when I was at TDC, which is why it was loose, which is totally okay, because apparently the two cams kind of fall towards each other a little bit at TDC, and that's why it gets loose. I wish I'd known that. There was a lot of headache if I had known that. But now I know that, and now I'm telling you, so if you're doing this, then you'll know that. We're back on. Yeah, big thanks to Andy. Definitely get the instruction manual from Mitsubishi in doing this. There's a lot of information in there. I'll see if I can find a link for it and I'll put it in the description. I'm gonna reinstall my lower timing cover for the third and hopefully last time. Let's get our accessory belt tensioner back on. This 14 mil is gonna go to 45 Newton meters, and it goes just there. And then we're gonna do the smaller bolt too. This 12 mil goes to 25 Newton meters. Now we have our idler pulley, which is going to go into that hole just there. And this 14 mil is gonna go to a whopping 80 Newton meters. That's huge. Let's get our water pump pulley reinstalled. These 10 mils go to 9 Newton meters. And it goes, if you don't remember, up there on the water pump. Kind of makes sense. All right, getting this water pump pulley on is probably just about as frustrating as getting the belt tensioned, and that's saying something. I brought it up from the bottom. I don't know if you can see. You can kind of just see the center. It's got like a raised lip. So you sort of sit the pulley on there. Make sure I put the holes directly down so it was kind of lined up. And then I kind of just use my like 2 fingers like this to like lever a bolt in there and just gently tighten it up. But you do have to be careful because this will slip off really easy. Now I've got 1 bolt in there, holding it on. Now I can rotate it and put the rest in. But that is a right prick and I have no idea how I'm going to torque it. That might just be a by feel, that one, because there is like literally no room between this and the chassis rail. I just end up using a 10 mil spanner because yeah, that was a pain. But they're tight. All right, let's do our crank pulley. These for 12 mils get torqued to 38 Newton meters and it goes right there. Do have this little pin that sticks out and there is a hole in the pulley specifically for that, so it's pretty obvious how it goes on. My bad, these only go to 25 Newton meters. Did the conversion wrong, my bad. All right, now I'm gonna get my accessory belt back on and then I will pull the screwdriver out of the auto tensioner. I will chuck a diagram up on screen right now, if you forget how it goes. Bit of a combination of over and under to get this on. I usually start with the alternator and I'll move that way. I think I'm missing something because that's ridiculously loose. What am I missing? I'm missing a pulley. My bad, I missed the friggin' AC pump. What an idiot. Much better. All right, now let's get our engine mount back in. Got to pull these 3 nuts off and they get torqued to 67 Newton meters. I think we're gonna have to jack our motor up a bit to get this lined up. Much better. The bolt goes through the back. Start off with a normal ratchet. Get the engine pulled up to the right height. This ratchet sucks, man. Why does it always jump out of gear? Alright, this big 19 mil nut on the engine mount is going to go to 99 Newton meters. And we have a 17 mil nut, sorry, we have a 17 mil bolt head on the back end. Nice. Alright, now it is essentially all back together, pretty pumped. Timing belt's still nice and tight when it's not at TDC, so I'm happy. I got to put that back on. Got to tidy this back up, spark plugs back in, cop kit back in, cover back on. I am going to leave this upper timing cover off until after I start it, just so I can start it, make sure it's all happy, make sure it doesn't go anywhere, just for my peace of mind. And then we're going to put coolant back in it. Oh my god. Yo. Is this guy serious? Oi! What are you doing? Man, these guys are bloody crazy, bro. What the hell was that? Make sure you plug your crank angle sensor back in over the back. Otherwise, you're gonna have issues. Yeah, we'll get our O2 sensor back on. Alright, we've got the fender liner and this cover back on. Now, let's get the wheel back on. I just realized I have my wheels the wrong way around. These tires, these Hankook Ventus RS4s are actually directional, given by that arrow. I've got them all around the wrong way. Last time I put the tires on, I did it wrong like an idiot. Get these swapped over now when the car's running. After we've done all the timing belt stuff, I'll swap the back ones. Rookie. That's the first time in weeks it's been back on the ground. Thank God is all I can say. Just gonna tip a bit of water in first. Make sure it's not leaking. Well, looks like we're good to go. Let's put our green stuff back in there. Drink, my child. This is a process. We're gonna reconnect our battery and we're good to go. I'm stressed. I'm actually out of water, so I'm gonna have to run to the shop real quick, get another bottle. I like to only use demineralized. I mean, I could probably put tap water in it, but it's a bit shit, so I need some more of this. The job is done. Filled up with coolant. I don't want to start it. I'm so nervous. I'm pretty sure we got there in the end. My belt seems fine, but I'm still the most nervous that I've ever been out of everything I've ever done. Maybe when I was doing the lifters, I was probably similarly nervous, but man, like I'm sure it's gonna be fine, but I still just don't want to do it. And this is why I completely understand when people just pay mechanics, because like this moment of uncertainty before you hit the key for the first time is genuinely horrible. I've checked over it. I'm pretty sure everything's plugged in. I'm pretty sure everything's good to go. I might just like hit the key for like a little second and just get it turning and just see how it looks. Then we'll go for the full one. Well, my battery's dead. Didn't even try to turn. Oh, that's come on. Is my battery dead or did I forget something? I think my battery's dead. Alright, that's been on there for a minute. Let's see if that's enough to at least crank it a little bit. Make sure it is the battery that's the problem. Ooh. Hello. Well, it turned. It's still nice and tight. Do we send it? Alright, I guess we're gonna have to do it sooner or later. Although I'm still really stressed about it. Oh. We used all our charge. Fuck! Not enough juice. God damn it. Alright, last opportunity. If I don't get it done now, if it doesn't start, I gotta go. I'm gonna be late for the gym. Put it on the charge overnight. Try again tomorrow. Just trying to think if there's anything else that would be disconnected. Plugs are in, coils are in. Shouldn't be any reason why we shouldn't be cracking. That's all plugged in, that's all plugged in, everything's plugged in. It's gotta be the battery, but it was cranking enough. I don't know, I'm kind of sus on it. Bugger. Alright, well, spewing about that, I'll put the proper trickle charger on it overnight and try it again in the morning. I was gonna have to come back and bleed the coolant tomorrow anyway, but yeah, spewing, I really wanted to get that start. But obviously this has gone around a bunch, it's still tight, so not really too stressed at this point. All right, we're back, the battery's charged. Let's see what happens. This better work, otherwise I'm gonna be really confused. Well, shit. What have I done? I'm confused. I worked out my problem. You've probably already guessed, but I put my crank angle sensor on backwards. I didn't even really realize you could do that, but you can. I just had a look at photos. That was kind of like my first guess. You can see, that's the photo. Yeah, that's backwards. So that's pretty annoying. So I need to take off all of the accessory belt stuff, get the lower timing cover off, swap that around, and then we can probably get going. Oops. I'm gonna do that, and then we'll try again. I think I've made every mistake possible on this. It's fine, but it's just annoying. God damn it. Make sure you put your friggin' crank angle sensor on the wrong way. On the right way. All right, after about 15 minutes, we got everything off. Pulley, all the accessory belt stuff. The water pump pulley was by far the most annoying. Lower timing cover's off. And there's our crank angle sensor on the wrong way. God damn. All right, let's get that flipped around and then put it all back together. I really did jinx myself when I said, hopefully this is the last time I'm putting the lower timing cover on. Yeah, it was not. I figured while we're here, might as well check the tension one more time after it's been cranked a bunch. And yeah, we're good. Happy days there, it slides in and out easy. All right, crank angle sensor is now on the correct way. That's how it's meant to look, sort of protrudes at the back. If you're not sure, it's blue wire down, black wire on the top. Now let's get all of this crap back on. All right, it's back together. I'm kind of nervous again, but yeah, I don't know. Let's just hit it and hope for the best. Okay, I'll call that a mission success. We do have a check engine light, but I'm going to assume that's because the crank angle sensor wasn't connected, so I'm going to clear that real quick. I'll read it and clear it, but yeah, that's bubbling a bit, so that's good. Jacking up and down, we've got a heap of air out anyway, so yeah, timing belt feels good, sounds good. I can put the cover back on now. I'm pretty confident that that's fine. I'm happy with the tension. That was stressful, but yeah, funny when you put the crank angle sensor on right, it just kicks over first go. I'm pumped. That was the biggest thing I've ever done on this car by far. That was incredibly stressful, but you know, I'm proud of myself for getting there. You know, this was something on my bucket list, on my car bucket list that I wanted to do, and yeah, it seems like we're gonna be okay. Okay, this is hardly surprising, but we have a crankshaft position sensor, a circuit. So let's just work out how to clear this. How do I clear it? Raise. To raise this thing. No more check engine light. Happy days. All seems to be okay. Got the heater on, so we're running a bit of get the air through that. That's running. No leaks that I can see so far. We've fucking done it, boys. Stressed, but we've done it. That was crazy, man. That was really, really crazy. Anyway, thanks for watching. Peace out. It's doable. It's hard, but hopefully I answered a bunch of questions about potential issues that you may have that a lot of the other videos probably don't address. Yeah, it's never perfect, you know, but you know, we get there. You just gotta persevere. I nearly gave up, I'll admit. We got it done, but hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.